Yeah, hello, students and viewers at home. My name still remains Adetola Michael, watching you live on another edition of Omega Bio-Edutainment and Bio-Nexus educational series. This morning, we want to quickly look at a very important topic, and that is on introductory toxicology. So today, basically, we are going to look at the basic terms and terminologies in introductory toxicology. Many of us might not know, consciously or unconsciously, we practice toxicology at every part of our life. And that is when you see some of us, we normally check the expiry date of any food commodity. No matter how nutritious any food could be, though it is a food that nourishes our body or nourishes our soul, but once it has passed its expiry date, that means we are so conscious that it is going to give us a kind of a toxin. Apart from that, we have also come across different types of products, either synthetic, manufactured or produced anywhere, where we will always see keep out of reach of children on that product. That means we are conscious of our being a toxicologist. Apart from that, we normally say in normal time, everyday life, that we normally say that too much of everything is bad. No matter how nutritious or how beneficial any product could be, if it is consumed in too much, that is telling us that in terms of toxicology, or what can be regarded as a poison, that means if it is too much, we have to be conscious of dose. The dosage is very, very important. The difference between a poison and food is the dosage. Whenever we take any food and we are not taking it in that right proportion, if it is too much, it's going to become a toxin for us. So that is why today, basically in this course, it is a basic introductory toxicology. That means what are those things that are the foundational knowledge of toxicology. So that is why I said that whenever you come across toxin, whenever you come across chemicals, whenever you come across hazard, whenever you come across what could be regarded as a poison, everybody is very, very conscious. So that is why we said every day of our life, we normally encounter a poison anywhere, depending on the dosage and depending on the time of exposure. So we are going to see all this in this course. Now, if somebody should just come across us and ask us, what do we actually mean by toxicology? Toxicology is nothing but the science of studying poison. Science of poison is called toxicology. The science of knowing the impacts of toxin on all of us is toxicology. So that is why, whether we are conscious, whether we are educated or we are not, we expose ourselves to basic type of toxin. As you have it on the screen, you can see that this course is actually telling us a lot of symbols. I have like a 8 symbols that we have on ground, so on the screen. So by the time we are moving into the lecture, intentionally I am making this video to be a faceless video, so that one way or the other. It is going to be behind the camera as an introduction, and that is why I want to believe sincerely that we are going to continue sometimes like this. It's not going to be every time that you will not see my face. So that is one thing to say. So now, by the end of this lecture today, you should be able to define toxicology and what are the key related terms and terminologies. Then in this course also, we are going to identify different types of toxic substances. We'll identify them so that whenever you see a toxin, or you will be able to know. Now, before I go on, I want you to point us to some of my earlier videos in Bio-Nexus. That is Omega Bio-Nexus. The first one is talking about death in the kitchen. So that is death in the kitchen. Most of what we consume are what causing deaths. So I want you to go back to that video, go and watch it, and see how we have poison in the kitchen. And for some of us that are very familiar with the biblical stories, there was a time that I think one of the prophets said, when they had a porridge somewhere, they got to a place and they had a porridge somewhere, and they discovered that some of them were having stomach upsets, to the level that the prophet then described it as there was death in the pot. Death in the pot. So those people, they went on to invite prophets to come and see, to come and remove death that is in their own poison, in their own pot. So that is what I'm saying, that toxicology is as old as human race. Is as old as human race. Don't forget, anything forbidden is a toxin. Anything forbidden at all. That's in the Garden of Eden. Don't forget that all the plants, all the food therein, God commanded them to eat. That all of them were supposed to serve as food for them, except that apple. And when they ate the apple, what happened? Death came. So that is also the science of poison. So once you take in what is forbidden, once you take in anything that you are not supposed to take, that is going to have an overall effect on you, that is going to be regarded as a poison. So we'll go back to that video which I titled Death in the Kitchen. Then the second one, you must have watched that video too, that has to do with the plague of 1518. The plague of 1518, where they discovered that one woman that started dancing. She started dancing uncontrollably, to the point that everybody was joining her, to the level that before 4, 5, 9 hours, they discovered that almost everybody now gathered in that in that arena to be dancing. And when they danced, to the level that some of them danced to death. So before they will not, although there is a kind of different school of thoughts, but what we can know as scientists, as toxicologists, is just that the dancing, that account was for basic poison that is a biological poison. So we are going to see types of toxin as we go on. Then apart from that, we are going to understand the basic dose response principles. What are the basic response principles? We are going to see it. Then we are going to also demonstrate the real world examples. Then I am going to actually divide you into 4 groups. So into 4 groups by the end of this lecture, and that 4 groups you will do what is called DIY experiments, and which I will give you how you'll be able to submit and all this. So let's move straight to what is toxicology. So toxicology is the study of harmful effects of substances on living organisms. Study of the harmful effects of substances on living organisms, and in simple words, that is in our simplest terminologies, it is the science of poison. I've said it. So toxicology is the science that has to do with poison. And I want to bring us back to one famous saying by a toxicologist, which is called Paracelsus. Paracelsus, what he said then was, all substances are poisonous. The dose differentiates a poison from a remedy. When water can be used nutritionally, but when you take too much of that water, those responses are setting. That is what is going to make it very, very poisonous. So the difference between a poison and a remedy is just the type of the amounts consumed in terms of the dosage. So for example, I said water is good. Water is an example of a food as well as a poison. So water is good, but when you drink it too much, you take it in overdose, you know what it means. So that same drug is going to be poisonous and is going to be toxic to you. So let's briefly go to basic terms and terminologies that you have to be familiar with in this course. I want to actually talk about 15 different terms and terminologies. The first one is a toxin. What do we mean by toxin? When I say you should go and watch that video of the biological toxin, the poisonous dance, so you know that anything that comes, any poison that comes from biological agents is regarded as a toxin. It is a toxic substance that is produced naturally by living organisms. So the source could be from plants, it could be from animals, it could be from bacteria. The other one, the video I said you should watch, actually came from a microorganism. So that is that. And we have example like snake venom is a biological toxin, it's a biological substance. Bacterial toxin, such as that one that caused the plague of 1518, is a toxin. So any substance at all that is coming or that is produced from naturally occurring living organism, biological agents, are called toxin. The second thing that you need to know is a toxicant. What do we mean by when we say a toxicant? A toxic substance that is made by human activities or found in the environment is regarded as a toxicant. For example, pesticide is made by man, so it is a toxicant. Industrial chemicals like hydrochloric acid, like mercury, all these, they are chemicals that are being synthesized or produced or manufactured by animal as a result of human activity. Sometimes it's when you produce it in the lab, when you produce it in the industry, consciously, it is very possible to produce a toxicant. But sometimes, even even if you are burning flame in the open smoke, it is as a result of human activities. Pollutants is as a result of human activities. So all those chemicals are regarded as toxicants. So every toxin, biological toxin or biological, is a toxicant, but it is not every toxicant that is a toxin. I want you to know that every toxin is a toxicant, but not every toxicant is a toxin. Okay. Apart from that, the third terms and terminologies that I want you to know is poison. When you come across the word poison, poison is any substance that can cause harm, can cause a bad effect, can really affect our health when you introduce it into the body. That is a poison. So that's why I said a poison is any substance that can cause harm when introduced into the body is regarded as a toxic, a poison. So you should know that poison can be natural or it can be synthetic. Poison can be natural or it can be synthetic. I want you to know that. Then apart from that, the next terms that we want to know is a dose. What do we mean by dose? A dose is the amount of any substances to be taken or taken at any time. That is that is what is called what. So the next thing is okay. So the dose makes the poison. So sometimes when you had, for example, now when you want to eat, you say okay, I like salt. Salt is a chemical, but if it is salt is taken in high dosage, you will not be able to eat that food any longer. So that is why you should know that a dose makes the poison. A dose makes the poison. Salt is synthetic. Salt is synthetic. So when you take it, when you are not so careful that you had it in very high concentration, that is when you will know that salt is also toxic. Then another one is a dose response relationship that we call DRR, dose response relationship. This is the relationship between the amount of a substance and its effects on the body. So if you take it in low dose, it is going to have little or no effects. But if you take it in high dose, it is going to have harmful or very toxic effect on you. For example, when you drink 1 glass of water, it is good. But when you take 20 glasses of water at once, it is deadly. So you can see the relationship between what is called the dose response relationship. If you take it at low, your response from the body is going to be little or no effect. But when you take it in a very high concentration, that's when you know that water is good, but in terms of the DIR, it is not good. So then exposure is the contact with a toxicant. Your point of contact or your contact at all to a toxicant is regarded as the exposure. And this exposure can be as a result of inhalation, that is, you inhale it, you breathe it in. It can also be from ingestion, that is either by eating or by drinking. Or it could also be as a result of derma, that is a skin contact. It can be derma in form of a skin contact. So it is very possible like that. So you need to know the exposure, the route of exposure. So it can be inhalation, it can be as a result of ingestion, either by eating or by drinking it. Then it could also be derma, that is when it is coming through your skin. Then the next one, that is term number 7, that is LD50, that you call leather dose 50%. This is the dose that is required to kill 50% of the test organism. So any lower dose than LD50 is more toxic. So what this one is telling you is that when you are measuring the LD 50% of any substance, the higher it is, the better it is going to be for your system. That means if your LD50 is high, that means it's not going to be poisonous to you. It's not going to have any harmful effect on you. But when it is very low, that is when it is going to become more toxic. So number 8, acute toxicity. Acute, whenever you come across acute means short-term exposure, single or short-time exposure, and the effect is felt quickly, short-term. So it's quite different from long-term. Long-term is when you have chronic. So food poisoning is mainly of short-term. Then the next one, apart from that is a chronic toxicity. That is chronic. That is the opposite of acute. Chronic means long-term exposure. The effect is not seen immediately. The effect is after so many years. The effect could be long-term. For example, when you smoke, whenever you smoke and you expose yourself to smoking, so the effect will not be felt immediately. The effect can be felt later in your life. That is it has a chronic toxicity level. Then number 10, that is a bioaccumulation. Bioaccumulation, from the word bio, that is the building up of toxic substances in organism over time. For example, when there are some when they say, okay, when we are talking about carbonated drinks, and when they say carbonated drinks is poisonous, when you take carbonated drinks like all these soft drinks, what you would just discover is just that you take it and the effect will not be felt immediately. So it is only part of it that will be digested, that will be excreted, that will be removed from your body. Some part of it is going to accumulate somewhere. So when this is now building up over a long time, that is what is called bioaccumulation. Then another thing, which is 11, don't forget that I said I'm going to tell you 15 about these terms and terminologies. So the 10th one is the bioaccumulation. That is accumulation in fish. For example, when fish accumulates mercury is very toxic, but it will not have its effect immediately. It will start building up until it has gotten to a stage where the build-up is going to have effects later. That is bioaccumulation. The next thing, which is biomagnification, that is an increase in concentration of toxin. As you move up the food chain. Don't forget the food chain. The food chain is actually talking about higher. The higher in the food chain is human, followed by, under human you have bigger fish. Under human you have what? Bigger fish. Then under bigger fish you have small fish. So whenever there's now increase in that toxin as a result of a building up of that food chain. So you have man, then you have bigger fish. Okay, after that bigger fish you now have a smaller fish. Don't forget that this bigger fish is going to feed smaller fish, is going to be the food to bigger fish, and the bigger fish is going to be food to man. Now whenever you are now moving up, that is from smaller to the bigger, if there is a increase in concentration of toxin, that is what is called biomagnification. So man will have the highest exposure. If man has the highest exposure, because no matter toxin, no matter what could be the toxin that the smaller fish must have gotten. It is going to be eaten by bigger fish. So the bigger fish is going to hit the smaller fish with everything toxicant, everything poison. So thereafter, the man will now also, irrespective of whatever they must have taken, so man is going to now have the highest concentration or the highest exposure, because it is man that consume both smaller and bigger fish. That is what is called biomagnification. Then another term, which is a term number 12. Number 12 is a carcinogen. Just from the word carcinogen, that is from cancer. Carcinogen, that is a typical example of a substance that is capable of causing cancer. That's why they call it carcinogen. Okay, so an example is tobacco smoke and asbestos. These two are very, very important. They are very, very dangerous. So because they are poison. Then number 13 is mutagen. What do we mean by mutagen? That's a substance that causes changes in DNA, from the word mutation. So anytime you come across mutation, that's telling you that mutagen is something that causes a mutation. And you have various examples like radiation and some chemicals like aromatic compounds like benzene, cyclohexane, and so on and so forth. All these are called toxicants. Then number 14, that number 14 is called teratogen. Teratogen. So teratogen is a substance that affects or has the capability to affect the embryo, or fetal development during pregnancy. So it is an example. For example, now if you take alcohol during pregnancy, alcohol will be regarded as a teratogen because it has the probability of affecting the unborn babies. So that's why they call them teratogen. So any substance. So for example, now you could be given any chemicals that maybe for your project that you want to find the effects of certain chemicals on female albino rats, that is during pregnancy. So if it now has a very negative effect on that rat, you will call that substance to be teratogenic. There is difference between teratogenic, mutagenic, and carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means they can cause cancer. Mutagenic means they can cause DNA damage as a result of a mutation. And teratogenic is that means they can have the ability of having effect on the unborn babies. Okay. Then the last one, the last we are going to consider today is antidotes. So antidote is a substance that counter the effect of a poison. For example, sometimes whenever our forefathers believe that whatever poison you must have swallowed, irrespective, what would they be looking for? They will ask you to go and get palm oil, irrespective. I remember the day I mistakenly drank jig. I mistakenly took it to be water, and I didn't know. I was so thirsty. So when I came in, I've forgotten that that was not the container. That was not the container for bottled water. I took it to be bottled water because it was pushed in bottled water. So bottled water container. So when I came in immediately, I just pick it up and I drank it. Oh, before I now spill it out. But before I spill it out, already consciously, psychologically, I was having this effect. So I rushed straight to the hospital. So unfortunately, that happened to be on a Sunday. So they didn't attend to me on time. I was feeling that I was going to die in the next minute because I mistakenly, in fact, I couldn't even explain what happened because people will be how me. Some of these people were asking me, but you are not a small kid now. You are not a small kid, and this one. So immediately I came across, I just called a pharmacist on phone. That this is what happened. He said, "Do you have palm oil at home?" So I said I had. So he just directed me to go and take as much quantity of palm oil. So when I took it, that was the antidote that I took. So, for example, if something like there are some things that if you are bitten by a scorpion, for example, if you are stung by a scorpion, some people will tell you, "Oh, start go and get this type of plant around. You start chewing this type of food of leaf." That means you are looking for antidote. So antidote is a substance that can counter the effects of a poison. When you, it's going to be part of the DIY I'm going to give you, activated charcoal of poisoning. Activated charcoal will always absorb poison directly, and I'm going to take you to do that. So that is the last terms and terminologies that I want to talk about today. Now, before I go, I told you that you need to take practical, everyday practical, and you should be able to know examples. For example, substance like paracetamol, exposure. How you can be exposed to paracetamol poisoning is when you take overdose of paracetamol poisoning. And the potential target organ in your system is going to have effect on liver damage. Then alcohol, its effect is a chronic use. When you use alcohol in chronic use, so it's going to have a liver psychosis. It can cause liver psychosis. Apart from that, snake venom. So when that is when you are being bitten by a snake. So that one can cause immediate poisoning. Immediate. You don't have to go to anywhere again. Immediately, you are going to start feeling the effects immediately. And when you take excess salt is another substance. When you take it in excess, so it's going to lead and cause high blood pressure. And when you take a substance like a pesticide through either contact or inhalation, it can cause neurological damage. That is a damage to the brain. So you need to know. Now I'm going to give you 4 DIYs that the class reps should just divide the group into 4. I'm going to submit by the grace of God next Sunday. Next Sunday, we are going to submit it, and I'm going to tell you how you are going to submit it and the modality that is going to be. So the first one is the first group is going to observe dose response in plants. Dose response in plants. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put it the DIY. I'm going to put it in the comment section of this video, so that this video will not be unnecessarily too long. So I don't want it to be too long. So that's why I'm going to put it there. And now, before you now go, what are the key takeaways for today's lecture? So the first thing is that in this lecture, we have learned that toxicology is everywhere, by everybody, at every time. So toxicology is relevant everywhere, to everyone, and at every time. So that is talking about the science of studying how substances like poison affects us. That is it. Then the second key takeaway today is that dose is very, very important. The dose of anything will determine whether it is going to be an antidote, a remedy, or a poison. So dose is very, very important. And I cited examples: salt, water, depending on the dose taken. That is when you can regard it as a, maybe it is going to be a remedy, food remedy, or it is going to be a poison. So a dose is a small amount that can help, and large amounts will harm. Okay. Then toxicants. Toxicant can be natural or man-made. I've told you that is another takeaway from this lecture. Then exposure. Exposure can be through injection, inhalation, or through derma, that is through the skin. So chronic and acute toxicity differs. When you talk of acute is short term, chronic is long term. So you need to be able to know the difference between acute and chronic. Then in the real world of knowledge of toxicology, you will see that toxicology has come to stay with us. It is one of the oldest science that you can talk of. And I mentioned that it was exactly what happened in the Garden of Eden, when some certain food like the apple was forbidden. And by the time Adam and Eve consumed it, death came in. So, and the supplementary to this lecture are two important videos that is in Bio-Nexus. So the first one is the toxin that is the plague of 1518, the dancing toxin, the dancing poison. Okay, the poison that made everybody to start dying uncontrollably, till the level that they dance until they dance to death. So I want you to really go back. That could be the effect, and that is very, very important for you. That video is going to form one of the cardinal points in which compulsory question is going to come. So study it. And also the second video is that the poison, that is, there is death in the kitchen. You go and also watch it and listen to it, and later we will be able to talk about it. Don't forget that I said I am going to leave you with you divide the class into 4, and you are going to work as a group. You submit as a group. That means if you are 60, for example, that means in a group you should not be more than 5-5. So in that 5-5, you are going to work on 4 different topics, and I'm going to share it with you how it's going to